We'll give everyone a couple minutes to get loaded. I am anticipating a slightly lower day, but
Because
people
it's
hit
me and
up the
Michael.
recording. Well, people that I think MCT's conference is going on
There's
this
a
week.
lot going on in February. Yeah, I feel like this is
Yeah.
as busy of a conference month as I've seen in a few years.
Yeah. We tried to get out in front of it. So I've been telling everyone we're a month early and
Right.
we are feeling it right now. So,
Just extra time to plan for fall, right?
Yeah.
yeah, something like that.
It does seem like conference season comes quicker and quicker though.
It just doesn't stop.
Yeah, that's probably it
Yeah.
because it's the holidays and then you're back at it.
So Brian put in chat, he asked me if I said that I was waiting for the two of you to get loaded. Like,
That's funny coming from Brian. He'd
Right.
usually be an antagonist or contributor to trying to get us loaded.
well, that's what I was like. We're waiting for Brian to get loaded,
Yeah.
not for you
He
two to
was just
get
wondering
loaded.
if he missed out.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean, Brian? We're already loaded.
This is water, by the way.
Like, I'm over caffeinated if you consider that to be loaded. 4:30 a.m., about 1,000 mcgs of B12 and a pot of coffee, and I'm still rolling.
Jody, it's funny you say that. I actually saw your email at that time this morning. And mind you, I'm 2 hours behind you.
Oh yeah, see, sorry.
No,
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm
no, no,
good.
no, no.
Like, just means Jody just got in from the horse stalls.
Yeah, that's what.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I think we have enough loaded people that we can begin, but welcome to the SIP. This is where connection begins with conversation, collaboration sparks innovation, and industry leaders come together to share insights, tackle challenges, and shape what's next. Think of it as catching up over coffee or an adult beverage, but with the kind of dialogue that moves the industry forward. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get started. First of all, thank you to our audience for tuning in. I know it's conference season and we're all racking up the sky miles and invading airport sky lounges across the country. I also wanted to thank Xactus for sponsoring today's show. It's a rare occasion that I get Michael Crockett and Tom Gallucci on the same stage at the same time, but welcome.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Jody.
you.
So Michael is the Chief Operating Officer of Xactus, and so many of our conversations or my conversations with Michael start with, "What can I do for you?" Meaning Michael says this to me. He really is a true servant leader, and I so much appreciate his support. And Tom Gallucci was a longtime employee of TMC and continues to be one of our biggest supporters and fans. And today, Tom's the EVP of Strategic Sales at Xactus, and he's torching the trail of the mortgage conference from Amelia Island to what's your furthest place? What's your furthest destination this year on your conference tour?
Ooh, maybe Vegas right now. I'm surprised don't have anything in Kelly yet, but the year is early, so
Yeah, yeah. Let's see how, yeah, I'm sure by November, before conference season winds down in the fall, there probably will be something on your agenda. So we're switching things up a little bit today, and we're reflecting on NBA IMB from last week. We're touching on some other industry news. We're looking ahead towards desert disruption, guaranteed to disrupt the desert skies of Scottsdale, and the highlights of the meaningful work that Xactus is doing across the industry. So I think we can jump right in because I feel like you all have a pretty good idea of who Michael and Tom are, and really of Xactus. But let's start with last week's NBA IMB conference. Great to see both of you. But Michael, we'll start with you. What were the key takeaways?
It's interesting. I think the vibe was exciting. People dealing with the uncertainty, and I'm probably more focused on, you can be certain that there's going to be uncertainty, and making sure that how do we make decisions accurately or as accurate as possible with limited information.
Yeah.
There's just so many unknowns that are out there that, quite honestly, we have to draw upon the experience that we have in the industry. And you're trying to read the tea leaves, but it's a different day. It's a different story. It's a different generation. We kind of talked about it earlier, Jody. I
Yeah.
mean, as things
Yeah.
start to progress, we are at Xactus, certainly my side from an operations standpoint, that we're more process oriented. We have to stay within the process, understand the processes of what people are doing. And then that was kind of the IMB's vibe that I got, that people were wanting to know, how can you fit within our process? And certainly not, the lenders and the independent mortgage bankers having to fit into our process.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely has been over the last 4 or 5 years is a big swing from the way that leaders approach business. And it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it was how just let's throw as much against the wall to try to speed things up because we have more production than we know how to handle, and we'll worry about it later. Well, our worrying about it later has been like the last 2 or 3 years of ripping out technology and consolidating vendors. And now it's like a thoughtful process of how do we now do both? How do we improve our process and partner with the right people? But Tom, from your perspective, like, what was the overall industry sentiment and what were your takeaways?
Yeah, and real quick, I'll piggyback on what you and Michael were just talking about in kind of that mindset change into really focusing in on accommodating lenders' process flow. From the sales side of the coin, we've even gone through an effort of just retraining our boots on the ground sales force as, don't sit here and have this, pricing game discussion, but we really should be um, tailoring our conversation with clients to understand like what they're ordering, pre-application, initial underwrite, prior to close, and helping them do more with less. Sounds
Yeah,
kind of counterintuitive to a business model, but you want relationships long term, you got to
yeah,
work within their efficiencies. But yeah, I mean, IMB in general, I agree with Michael. I thought the vibe was more positive than it's been in the last couple years. I think that was reflective in just the general attendance being up a bit. Um, I be honest, I didn't get a lot out of the general sessions in there, only because I thought it was reiterating a lot of what we've been hearing in the headlines of late, you know, low single digit volume gain projections, rates kind of staying status quo. Um, More M&A activity, a lot of what we already expect out there. But I think in meetings, the most I heard was people asking questions around, different AI solutions, and particularly kind of around like automated AI and, even just picking my brain, like, how do I leverage this? And I was like, well,
yeah,
bite sizes, start with your vanilla
yeah,
stuff and save
yeah,
the capital for the more complex files. But
yeah.
all around,
You're, we're gonna have to coach you on that response, Tom. That response needs to be, if you really want to know what's going on with AI and emerging technology, you need to join the TMC Tech Fund in August.
which
Where
we're excited to be a part of and sponsoring as well. I'm excited for where you're taking the tech fund too. I think it's a
yeah,
welcome direction.
yeah. Yeah, for those of you who wonder what we're talking about, we have a standalone tech summit in August 12th and the 13th in Dallas, and Xactus has graciously become our title sponsor, and there'll be a lot more news around that and communication following our conference that's coming up in just 12 short days, which we are singularly focused on because it's about a month earlier than it was last year. So 12 days from kickoff of the conference, Desert Disruption. Um, and when I announced the title of the conference, I don't know, September or October, there was some indirect criticism on social about disruption and what disruption means. And so I just wanted to set the record straight that TMC is known for celebrating loudly and proudly, because when you're doing work that matters with people that matter, it deserves to be amplified. And we are loud and we are proud of who we are. And for transformative collaboration, it's what happens when we challenge assumptions together as an organization. We push boundaries together and we create solutions that didn't exist before we walked into the room. And we really feel that desert disruption not only describes us, but is how we exist as disruptors. So we are
So,
quite a unique bunch.
Jody, I was going to just, I mean, when I read it, I kind of had the moment or disruption, and then I agree. It's unapologetic for what it is truly indicative of what you're doing, and the reason we've been part of TMC from literally from day one is exactly what you stand for. And when you stand for what you say, and then it shows in your actions, that's the respect that you want from the industry. That's the reason we Xactus, we're proud supporters, and so yeah, I give you compliments there. Good job to you and the team.
Yep. Thank you. And I will say, like, I love that we got the criticism because that means that people are paying attention.
Right.
Right.
If it just like went off and there was not even a blip on the radar, it'd be like, well, people aren't paying attention, but it's awesome. People are paying attention and they're responding.
So,
I
Jody,
think
Um,
they're
I want to
waiting,
know.
right? People are waiting to see
yeah,
even more, and that's the attention you want. So
yeah.
again,
Well,
I
we
gotta
definitely do
know.
appreciate you all. And Zactus has a big presence at Desert Disruption that we're super excited about. So, Crockett, you want to start and sharing what Zactus is up to at conference?
Well, I'm gonna jump in real quick if I can.
Okay.
Um, I've been in a lot of these ideation sessions. Who was the one that came up with desert disruption?
I don't remember.
All right, I'll have to hit the team up. I'm curious, but
They're in the chat. I can't remember everybody. Uh, I can tell you how it's been too long ago because this is like last summer that we come up with so that we could announce in September. And I can tell you for our next conference that we will announce, it started somewhere and it evolved into what it's going to be. And can't wait to share the why behind that name
love
and
it.
the
Well, I
location.
see Faith in the chat being the good steward to the team and giving everybody some credit in on it. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
I do remember it being a discussion and like several iterations to get to it. So thank you. But Crockett, what's on the docket for Zactus at conference?
um, we are a lot of places right now. We are trying to ensure that we are on panels that we're speaking on. I can tell you we have one that's going on now at Housing Wire that we have our chief strategy officer speaking. But the one I'm excited about that I'll get selfish on it personally, and I'll be on panel with there at TMC, and it's even great because it's going to be with what we would consider competitors, with Tracy King and Paul Blue, but I think it's going to show the respect that we have for each other in the industry, just making sure that we're getting the proper message, the accurate message out to the members of what's going on, what's, from a credit modernization standpoint, from a FICO, on the FICO panel. So it's going to be something worth attending. And I think, ask the real questions. That is what I hope everyone will see when you speak with myself and certainly the other panelists, is that we are real. Well, we do
Yeah,
this day to day. And Tom made mention to it, but we know the number one factor out there right now is cost. And we're
yeah,
looking at how do we address the cost, and we are part of it. We're not the only piece of it, and we
yeah,
realize that. But where we can do a service, where we can do our job is how can we help do more with less,
yeah,
but not less data. The
yeah,
data is important, right? It does tell the story, and we are trying to ensure that we're not giving in to additional risk, but we're trying to make sure that you're not using data unnecessarily either. So exciting times, looking forward
Yeah.
to it. And you will see Xactus out. I think the next one, a big one too, is ICE, and we'll have a strong presence out there too.
Yeah. And to your point, so the panel that Crockett is on is led by FICO and our three credit preferred partners. And you want to talk about disruptive. When we talk about transformative collaboration, that's where competitors get together to solve problems for the industry. And I often tell prospective preferred partners, I use the three of you as an example of being credit providers that are, competitive in the environment. But when you enter the doors of TMC, you very much are looking to collaborate to solve industry problems. And it's recognized and truly appreciated. And I think with the relationship with FICO, putting FICO in the mix as a preferred partner of TMC is also a testament that we're looking for education and understanding and bringing groups together that will help challenge each other and hopefully make a lasting impact for years to come on the industry. So, Tom, what's up for you at Desert Disruption?
Well, another partner showcase, kind of highlighting what we're doing with intelligent verifications in the VOE space in particular. And then I'll have the privilege of joining you on the main stage for lunch for the SIP on Tuesday. And I'm excited that we'll be able to feature a longtime TMC member and Xactus client, Nathan Cipher from Green State Credit Union. So should be a fruitful discussion with the audience at Desert Disruption.
Yeah, and so speaking of disruption, Xactus is always evolving and developing products that help lenders reduce costs, drive efficiency, and drive the industry forward. So we'll stick with you, Tom. What are the highlights for Xactus for your 2026 roadmap?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'll slim it down to Q2 and I feel like I'm rambling here, but um, really focusing in on the verification suite. So we just recently launched with Argyle for consumer permission through the Xactus platform. We're prepping for a launch for VOA with Plaid in the second quarter. But what we've put out already this year is indicator data on our instant database verification solution. So I know everybody loves seeing their work number bill come in the mail every month. And imagine how nice it would be if you got data in front of pulling that verification to tell you if a record was there or additional attributes like a past year, salary or employer. And so we're able to start to deliver that. Currently with the work number, we're providing prior year employer name, I'm sorry, prior year income, employer name, as well as their tenure. And then doing the same with Experian Verify later in the first quarter, where we'll be able to provide the employer name on record, and similarly with our database at Thomas and Company, and delivering that all in addition with the credit report up front, kind of what Michael was laying out to help you spend less, but not reduce your data or put your data to better use for you. So it's really exciting there. And then I know this has always been a hot button for the TMC membership. You've heard a lot of providers promote, true automation in their verification workflow. And then when they actually go to demo or see the platform, it falls shy of that. So we're excited to be rolling that out too on our end in the second quarter here, where you'll click a button and based on your pre-selected order, it's going to work its way through our suite of verification providers without any human intervention in the mix, and be tailored to the months of coverage that you need for your particular guidelines too. So super excited there. And then probably the last thing I've got, Jody, is a lot of people still don't know that we do QA QC in-house here at Xactus. So I know HMDA deadlines are coming up for March 1st. So if you're behind the 8 ball and don't want to admit it, you could certainly reach out to us and we could see how we can help you out there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to deviate just a little bit because we have a question in the chat that I think is important and is at top of mind as we approach, I think it's March 4th deadlines. But um, Layla is asking how you're addressing trigger leads that go into effect in March.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in first, Michael. Welcome your feedback as well. But really, it's consultative with our clients at this point. I think there's still a lot to be determined out there from a regulatory standpoint, as far as disclosing to consumers to get that opt in or opt out. I think it's also educating people some of the nuances to those carve outs in that legislation because there's a lot of conception that oh, triggers are just going to go away with this legislation. And it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
With those carve outs for your servicer, who has originated the loan, or any financial institution that you have an existing account with, there's still a lot of people that will have access to trigger data. And my theory is, if anything, say instead of getting 60 calls from people who don't have a relationship with you, maybe you're only getting six, but they're all coming from institutions that have a profile on you, and you're probably more likely to respond to. So I think lenders are going to have to be more vigilant against
Yeah.
the quality of leads
Yeah.
that come
Yeah.
in.
But
Yeah.
Tom,
We've
I would
had,
I would echo. I'm sorry, Jody. Yeah, go
no,
ahead.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say the carve outs are important, and that's where when we initially hear it that we're like, okay, trigger leads are going away. That's not the case. It is going to be reduced, but you have to also keep in mind that reduction. What's going to be taking place is that you would have several calls, that 60 calls, for an example, that were taking place. It's because it was the same lead that anyone could get, but it's just going to be reduced. And you're instead of 60, there's still going to be people that are going to be contacting your applicant. So
Yeah.
how you protect it and understanding what you protect, but more importantly, the education of what's going to come their way is going to be important. And that's where we have a team that reports under Tom that we can sit down, consult with you, and make sure that you not to buy triggers.
Yeah.
Now we
Yeah.
don't sell those triggers, but to consult and what those trigger leads are going to look like, and then also benchmarking that as it gets instituted and it begins to be used. I don't believe it's going to turn out the way that the legislation was initially intending, right? There's going to be those carve outs already that came
Yeah.
part of it. So we want to make sure that we keep our pulse on it and then communicate that
Yeah.
information. To me, the most important thing that you can get, not just from us, again, I'll put it out there for all the panelists that they're going to be there, is just make sure you understand what all is going on and benchmark it. And,
Yeah.
then we can help you prepare a plan in order to combat it, or in some situations, some are using it, right? So we just need to
Yeah.
make sure that we're using it wisely.
Yeah. And I really believe that the only way to combat it completely is you have to be using data that's so far out in advance of someone doing a soft pull or getting to the point of pulling credit, whether it's through home buyer education, so that you're developing that relationship before you ever pull credit on a client, or other things that tell you that a borrower is likely to transact, whether that be from a purchase perspective or a refi perspective, and can actually use algorithms to determine that likelihood and then surface that to your salespeople. That's the only way it's truly going to be able to combat it, because there are so many, our data is all over the place. We have relationships with so many companies. When you think about, a standard person who has banking at two or three institutions, who has, their a mortgage or two different mortgages, and it's like when you start looking at that, and there's still a lot out there. So I think that the best alternative is that you don't worry about trigger leads. You know your clients, you're connected to them through the process. And for those that you don't know, you know how likely they are to transact so that you can get out in front of everybody else before credit is pulled. There's my 2 cents.
It,
Um,
back to basics, nurturing relationships.
yep. Yeah. It's the same with, I mean, it's really the same when you think about it. It's the same as what you do in sales, Tom, with lender members. It's like you keep those relationships and they might not transact today, but if you have the relationship, you have a better idea of when they're going to transact well in advance of when they actually are going to
Thank
transact.
you. I was just on a call with Melanie explaining that earlier. Like, I will never spam your members. There's too many good
Yep.
relationships. As long as they know me, they know what we do. When the timing's
Yeah.
right, we'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah, and Crockett Xactus is on fire, and I know you have many employees, and I know them, and I can only imagine how a day goes with them. But you definitely manage it flawlessly. Let's talk about client success, and you started to touch on it, but what are you doing to gain insights into what lenders want and need, and how does that make it back into your roadmap?
Yeah, we do quarterly business reviews. That is probably our biggest thing that we want to make sure that we are spending the time. From an operations side of the equation, we have a staff dedicated solely preparing the data. We're looking at doing workflow analysis. So we're trying to see where there may be choke points, bottleneck. I mentioned it before about the use of data. How do you use the data, making sure that you're making the best decisions, but it's really important that you order when you need it, what you need, and the ultimate goal is reducing fallout, right? We know from a lender's perspective, the cost that the lenders are incurring it's really important that we get that fallout and eliminate or mitigate certainly those fees that are being spent there. So our staff from a client success and advocacy team, we are a little bit different, I think, in other organizations that reports into me through the operations side of the equation because I need, sorry, it's the term I use, butts in seat. That when you call, there is someone that's behind a computer that can actually system that's looking at it, and will allow sales to go do what they do best, which is sell. And those information points, things that you want to know, those peer
Yeah.
analysis, those trending analysis, things that are taking place that we can see, that we hopefully can give you more insight before you, the lender, may actually know it because I'm seeing it on a day-to-day basis, and we're
Mhm.
monitoring those things. That's the only
Yep.
way that we can, in my opinion. How does an operations get involved in an account and stay from that partnership relationship standpoint? It is
Yeah.
to be relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's hard running a mortgage company to know, where those you might not be aware that you even have a choke point unless you're, use because there's so many pieces that you're working on at the same time and you're trying to keep so many plates spinning that it's very easy to miss leakage that you may identify because you've heard that from someone else. So it's very important that leaders get involved with their preferred partners and have those conversations and allow your preferred partners to be your partner and to help guide you through some of that. Guys, that's a wrap. So I can't wait to see both of you in Scottsdale. We still need to get that round of golf in that we missed out on at
right.
Amelia
A
Island
28-degree
because
golf game was
Cold,
not going to
cold.
happen.
yeah, I caught some heat, but sorry, I'm not golfing when it's below freezing. I don't even think they would have let us out on the course. But I'm not that crazy. I am a big golf fan, but I'm not that big of a fanatic. I'm a warm weather golfer.
Same.
Uh, but I do thank both of you for your insights, your support, and your leadership, and a huge thank you to Xactus for sponsoring today's episode. To our audience, thank you for tuning in. I know you're busy. Your curiosity, your feedback, and your engagement are what makes our community so powerful. We'll be back next Tuesday, February the 17th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for our TMC members, and then live at 4 p.m. on LinkedIn for the broader industry. It's not too late to register for Desert Disruption if you're a lender who's not yet a member but want to attend. Message me on LinkedIn. Or if you have my number, have my email, shoot me a message. I might know someone that might be able to make that happen in 12 short days. But cheers, and we'll see you next time on the set. Thank
It's
you
fine,
both.
Jody. Thanks a lot.
Jody.